You're listening to Hysteria, the podcast for people who are genuinely sad that Toby Keith died, not knowing Beyonce was about to release a country album.
It's a tough one.
I know. You know, Phyllis Schlafly died thinking Hillary Clinton would be president. So
I guess you take the wins where you can get them.
You take the wins where you can get them. Okay. So let's talk. I mean, it's the Super Bowl's over. One thing I love about the Super Bowl is it's kind of like Christmas. It's like once it's over, everyone's like, get it out of here.
It's done. Be gone. I can't see one more picture of Travis Kelce in a sequin suit making out with Taylor Swift, listening to her own music. It's
Indeed.
too much.
The wad has been blown. We're closing the monitor. But, you know, after Sunday's Super Bowl, President Biden tweeted a photo of himself with laser eyes, implying that the internet-bred character of Dark Brandon had somehow fixed the outcome of the game, playfully, of course. The fact that millions of people immediately knew what this meant means that millions of people, including me, maybe especially me, desperately need to log off. Because
I need to log off.
We all need to log off. Solar flare, come save us. Knock all the electronics out. It will be dicey for a few weeks, but we'll figure it out. But Biden wasn't the only politician outside of the extremely online demographic who toyed around with internet conspiracy theories like surrounding Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, Pfizer, the NFL, trying to defeat Donald Trump somehow. I don't know. It's very convoluted. But Minnesota Governor Tim Walz also got in on the action and made some jokes about fixing the Super Bowl. Alyssa, there are a few ways to handle a ridiculous conspiracy theory. You can ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist. You can attempt to debunk it with sincere things like fact-checking, which I think lends it a little bit of more dignity than it deserves. Yeah. Or you can engage with it sarcastically, like what Democrats seem increasingly okay with doing now. What do you make of this?
I am into engaging sarcastically because it's kind of like if you don't engage at all, you're letting it just happen, like with no counter whatsoever, right? It's like, and we've seen what happens when you're like, oh, you guys, Donald Trump and COVID, China. I mean, there are so many conspiracy theories. Well, some that actually turned out to be true, but I think that trying to debunk them is a waste of time. The people you're trying to educate aren't listening to you, don't want to hear from you. So I say just enjoy yourself. Engage playfully.
Yeah, you know that whole I don't even know if this is true, but you're not supposed to wake somebody who's sleepwalking.
I'm sure I've seen that on the internet.
I feel like, I don't know if it's true or not. Any sleep scientists, doctors of sleepology can go ahead and weigh in, hysteria@crooked.com. But I feel like that principle applies to people who are really in deep on like LARPing their conspiracy theories, like QAnon people, essentially sleepwalkers. You can't wake them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I can't believe you just said LARP and I knew what that meant.
We both need to log off. No, LARPing is live action. Therefore, it
live
is
action role play.
And by definition.
The reason I know what it is because when I was an assistant at an internet company in 1999, my boss used to have these LARP events and I had to find him places on Long Island to rent for his LARP events.
Oh my God. Are you like Rasputin of
seen it all. I've seen it all, Erin.
You're just like showing up in the background of all these photos of historic
100%.
events. And it's like, wait, why was she there? And then
why is she dressed like a gnome on Long Island in a mansion?
Okay, so this week, in addition to, you know, on the extremely online beat, Joe Biden joined TikTok, which we hope we've got some good security on that iPhone 1.
I'm guessing it's not on his iPhone.
No, it's probably not. And I'm guessing that he is probably not the one that is composing, editing.
I think that's correct. I think it's a safe bet.
Yeah. Well, on TikTok, he is, according to a really good piece on Slate, quote, an online character with edgelord posting flair and crypto king visuals, a political communicator's take on Gritty. You know who Gritty is, right?
No.
He's, please Google Gritty after we are done recording because
I will. I was going to when I was reading the outline, but I was like, you know what? Erin's going to ask me and I want to be honest. No, I don't.
Gritty is the chaos Muppet that declared himself president for life of the Philadelphia Flyers
Oh, I know
hockey
Gritty.
team.
Okay, thank you. I do know Gritty.
Okay, an attempted reclamation. Okay, so this, I'm going back to the Slate piece. The Slate piece also said that Biden's online persona is an attempted reclamation of narrative after years of MAGA memes. Okay, so I'm old enough to remember when President Biden was considering banning TikTok because of security concerns stemming from its ties to China. So, Alyssa, do you think this is a good idea that the president joined TikTok?
I mean, look, on the one hand, Erin, you got to meet the people where they are, right? Like when we were in the White House, I was so violently opposed to Barack Obama doing Between Two Ferns. I was like, this is so unpresidential. What are we doing? And it was actually Pfeiffer's idea to do. And I think it has like 25 million views today. So I was definitely wrong about that. So I feel like get on TikTok, meet the people where they are. But I would be shocked. Okay, look. The people who they want to meet on TikTok do not give a shit, I think, about what he's posting. I think the people who are going to find him on TikTok are people like me who are like, that was a cute video.
Yeah. And TikTok is not the same as Between Two Ferns because it's a lot more interactive, you know?
Yes, it's true. The commenting and all.
The comments take a lot more center stage. The top comments, according to the Slate piece, the top comments on Biden's first TikTok were, I can't afford gas or rent. 8 hours edited down to 30 seconds. Good job answering those questions. I know it's hard. Had to wake him up for this one. And what about Rafa?
That tracks. That's about what I would expect.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. TikTok is a place where on one hand, you can reach Gen Z, but on the other hand, Gen Z can reach you. And I don't think that Joe Biden has done a lot to successfully message to Gen Z that he has done things that address their specific politics and their specific needs.
Well, maybe he will use TikTok for that.
Maybe. I mean, or he could use executive orders to do it. And then like, you know, TikTok himself signing them like, hey guys.
Oh, you came in spicy today. You came in spicy.
Here's something that can materially benefit you that I am doing with my power as the president. I got to say this, Alyssa.
Tell me. I'm here.
Of course, I'm voting for Joe Biden. And of course, I understand how serious this election is. But I saw a Instagram post because I'm a millennial. I'm on Instagram, you know. I saw an Instagram post from Vice President Harris that was like, if Congress passes an abortion ban, rest assured, President Biden will veto it. And I'm like,
I saw that too.
That is
and you know
weak
what?
Sauce.
I saw it late and I didn't send it to you because I'm like, you can't send terrorism late at night.
It's too late for that. Thank you. I appreciate that, Alyssa.
It's too late.
That's the sort of thing that like, it's just like, okay, on one hand, I feel like they're dancing around something that they're not coming out directly and saying, which is that I think there's a real fear among Democrats that we'll lose the House and Senate in the fall. And if that happens and Joe Biden gets reelected, then he is literally the only thing standing between us and a nationwide abortion ban. Now, just saying like, if Congress passes an abortion ban, Biden will veto it. I think if you're somebody who casually pays attention to politics or who's like, maybe slightly more than casually pays attention, you might be like,
sounds good.
Okay. Like, all right, cool. But I think it's like, if you want to run on abortion, you have to hit harder how close we are to a nationwide abortion ban. You're not protected in your blue little silos.
Right. It's time to start talking about all the things that actually could be done and putting some real fucking legwork, some elbow grease into it and figuring it out. Like, Erin, I haven't really even heard, and we've talked about it and we will talk about it from now until the election. But like, I don't know, let's fucking put some muscle behind ratifying the ERA. Let's do something. Like right now, it's just a lot of tiles on Instagram, Gen X, but also on Instagram. Good to meet you. And it's just a lot of like, we're going to codify Roe, How? You keep saying how?
We've gone from codifying Roe to stopping them from banning abortion, which is not the same, like vetoing an abortion ban. And that is so breathtakingly close to a nationwide abortion ban. Like, okay, right now, women in Texas who need abortion care, for the most part, are getting it by traveling out of state. Not everybody is getting it, as we discussed on last week's episode. People who are already at the margins and already probably are not economically equipped to handle raising a child are being forced to give birth. And pretty much everybody else is just getting them out of state. If a nationwide abortion ban passes, we're fucked, man.
Fucked.
We're fucked. We're driving to Mexico. We're driving to Canada. This is like some bullshit, like retro and
fundamental. It's like fundamental bullshit too.
Yes.
It is a component part of our lives. This isn't some frivolous, this is fundamental bullshit.
And I wish that, I'm sure that this is coming. I hope that this is coming. I'm giving the Biden campaign the benefit of the doubt and hoping that this is coming. But I think that they need to go a little bit harder on being like, guys, they are going to ban abortion.
It's happening.
If they win the Senate and the House. The Senate map is very bad for Democrats this cycle. Not impossible, but it's rough. It's looking rough. And the House is so gerrymandered all to fuck that there is a possibility of Democrats taking the House back, but we can't count on that. We have to plan around the fact that there is a very real possibility that Republicans could take both houses of the legislature, which is a suboptimal outcome, but there's a possibility of that. And if that happens, the president is the only thing standing in between us and a nationwide abortion ban.
Yes.
And so
you heard it here first.
I mean, I'm sorry to speak the sum of people's deepest fears, but that's
the news.
Got to give it to you straight. Speaking of abortion, let's do a roundup of what's going on.
Speaking of abortion and Texas.
God, what can Texas just secede?
But you know what? This one, though, extremely other level.
This one is really other level. So late last week, this was kind of making the rounds online, and I really wanted to talk about this individual case because I think it brings a lot of things into relief. A Texas man recently received a slap on the wrist for doing something that, had a doctor or woman done it, would have elicited a much harsher punishment.
Much harsher.
It wasn't talking in a meeting. No, Mason Herring, 39, who's a Texas personal injury lawyer, which is an ironic job to have for someone who's going around trying to personally injure people.
Yeah.
Whatever. Herring drugged his wife's drinks with abortifacients in 7 unsuccessful attempts to induce an abortion without the knowledge of his then estranged, now ex-wife, who was at the time in her 3rd trimester of pregnancy. Okay. So he was trying to, first of all, abortion drugs not recommended for the 3rd trimester. You're supposed to take them before 11 weeks.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Not recommended for even the 2nd trimester. Oh my God.
It's like reading the story was fucking gross.
It's gross. And Herring is a gross person. And Herring was convicted of the crimes of injury of a child and assault of a pregnant person, but originally faced the more serious charges of assault to induce abortion. He pled down to get the less serious charges. His punishment is 180 days in jail and 10 years probation. His ex-wife, Catherine, understandably found this sentence insufficient. Alyssa, if a doctor tried to perform an illegal abortion in Texas, because that's what Herring was doing. He was trying to perform 100%. An illegal abortion against the woman's will. Okay. But if a doctor tried to perform an illegal abortion with the permission of the pregnant person, aka any abortion that occurs after fetal cardiac activity around 6 weeks from a woman's last menstrual period, that doctor could face penalties of up to 99 years in jail and $100,000 fine. So I guess if you need an abortion in Texas, the best way to avoid stiff legal penalties is just have your non-doctor husband do it without telling you.
Erin, okay. So many things about this story. One, disgusting. Sorry, this is attempted murder. He dosed her 7 fucking times. Like she had to have been so sick. He watched her get so sick every time he dosed her. My favorite part of the story is that the way he finally told on himself was that he took the garbage out and she was like, zoinks, Scoob, something is up. He never takes the garbage out. He is not a helper. And she went to the garbage and found the Mexican generic of misoprostol. And Erin, what? He had to have been like, I'm going to watch some old Lifetime movies from the 1990s and see how you try to poison someone, because he just kept bringing her glasses of water when she already had drinks. And he was like, no, you're dehydrated. Drink more. And then what he did is almost like it's like a Muppet-like caper, what he was trying to pull off, a malevolent one. But the part that makes you get a pit in your stomach is that if this had been months earlier, she had not wanted this pregnancy. She had tried to procure these drugs herself. She'd be in prison for a really fucking long time, but he's okay. So again, Texas.
Yeah. I mean, it really goes to show who lawmakers think should be in control of women's bodies.
And who are victims.
And it's, yeah. Well, so here's the really tragic epilogue of the story, in addition to the whole like meta patriarchy of it all. Catherine Herring gave birth to a little girl who was born 10 weeks premature and had to spend 117 days of the first 9 months of her life in the hospital. Now, anybody who's ever had a NICU baby knows that that is like every day
is like a lifetime.
The hardest day of your life.
Yeah.
And she had to live it 117 days in a row. The little girl is now 18 months old and has developmental delays that have required her to attend therapy 8 times a week.
8 times.
And misoprostol, I'm going to say, is in studies, if you take misoprostol, because it's used for other things besides abortion, it's used for like internal bleeding, it's ulcers, there's other things that it's used for. But if you take it without knowing you're pregnant and the pregnancy doesn't end, it's known to cause some birth defects. And so Herring says that her husband dosing her multiple times with an abortifacient is what caused this. And 180 days in jail for this guy.
And who's helping her? Who's helping her? This has to be exceedingly expensive, or nearly bankruptingly expensive, what she's going through.
I found this guy's details still on his law firm's website. Like he hasn't lost his law license yet that I know of, but he's probably going to lose it. But yeah, every single penny that he's ever earned should go to care of this little girl.
100%.
Every single penny. And he should also get a tattoo on his forehead, I think. I think if you do something like this.
Creep?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Goon?
Goon. He should get a tattoo on his forehead that says goon. He should be barred from practicing law.
Without question.
And every single woman in America should sign on to an agreement to never date or even get anywhere near the penis of this man for the rest of his life. Ever. Okay, moving on. Wow.
Whoa.
What's happening in Ohio, Alyssa?
Some wild fuckery. Erin, we always tell people, like, just take the W. Okay, Republicans cannot take a decision by a majority of citizens as anything other than a challenge to try to overturn the will of the people. So we have talked about Ohio. We talked about issue 1, which was voted on back in November. And Erin, that was supposed to protect abortion access in the state. And it passed with a 57% majority. Unfortunately, Republicans in the state continue to ignore what the people want and have explicitly voted for. As a reminder to everyone, issue 1 explicitly stated, quote, every individual has the right to make and carry out one's own reproductive decisions, including but not limited to decisions on contraception, fertility treatment, continuing one's own pregnancy, miscarriage care, and abortion. And again, this one with 57% of the vote. Well, the Ohio Attorney General, he believes that some of the abortion ban still stands, Erin. He thinks there are parts that are still salvageable. His name, Dave Yost, said the Heartbeat Act, which would prevent abortions at 6 weeks and beyond, is no longer valid, but other parts of the ban may still be defensible.
How?
Well, Erin, he said on Friday, issue 1 doesn't say the state absolutely has no right to regulate reproductive rights. Okay.
But it says people have the right to make their own decisions. Ergo, the state does not get to tell them that they cannot make those decisions. This is so dumb. Why?
So so the abortion ban is on hold. It's being ironed out. Hamilton County Common Pleas Court Judge Christian Jenkins has to hear the arguments. But Erin, I would just like to point out a little research that I hope someone in Ohio is listening to us and reminds them of the fact that in literature and analysis released prior to the November election, A.G. Yost said, some of Ohio's laws may be defensible, but the Heartbeat Act would not exist if issue 1 passes. Those were his words.
Okay, look,
Words.
Ohio, I was so impressed with you on 2 off-year elections, 1 special election in August, showing up in record numbers. In the off-year election in November, legalizing marijuana and enshrining abortion access into your state constitution. Amazing. Stop voting for these motherfuckers. Stop voting for them. Stop voting for them. They're making you look like a bunch of goons, to bring it back to, like, they're not represented. Question. They're clearly not representing you. They're clearly not representing your interests.
Said. They do not care.
No. And so, like, the voters have spoken. And instead, A.G. Yost is like, we better ask a judge about this.
Let's go line by line. That's what he wants to do, Erin. He wants to go provision by provision and take each provision before a judge and see what is constitutional.
That is
trash.
I feel like Republicans in places like Ohio and Wisconsin, which I'll get to in a second, they're like a moth banging against a screen. Like, if I'm going to keep trying to get in, I'm going to keep trying to get in. Maybe I'll get in. Maybe I'll get in. Maybe I'll get in. It's really annoying. It's like, stop banging. There's a screen there. But every once in a while, they find a hole in the screen, and then you got a fucking moth in your house eating all your sweaters.
Which is really bad.
But, like, they're depending on people tuning out because they think, okay,
and getting exhausted,
or just being like, that's that, we did it, mission accomplished. You know, mission not accomplished. We, like, this is going to be, because these people are such enduring and eternal fucking pains in the ass. We have to pay attention forever. Like, there is no way, like, you cannot turn your back on a giant fucking pain in the ass, because eventually they're going to figure out a way to get what they want when you're not paying attention.
Totally.
And it sucks. And I hate it. Yeah. And speaking of, I mentioned Wisconsin, it looks like Governor Tony Evers' maps are actually going to go into effect because the Republican legislature was like, oh, fine.
Woo!
Yeah. I feel like they've got to have another game, though, because they're
subversive.
People.
They're not being altruistic here.
No, I don't think so. But maybe maybe they've got bigger fish to fry. Let's go to Missouri, where the news is not good. Republicans in Missouri continue their record-setting run of showing their whole asses. Democrats in the state are trying to add exceptions for rape and incest to the state's draconian abortion ban.
Those animals.
They're absolute, but as you know, Alyssa, and as I know, exceptions are not really exceptions. A ban is a ban, is a ban, is a ban, is a ban.
It's flowery letters. Flowery letters.
Exceptions are little fairy tales.
Yeah.
That Republicans tell moderates who want to break in their taxes to get them to vote for them so those moderates can sleep at night.
Right.
But they're not.
It's like when they do an exception for the life of the mother, and the caveat is like, right, you must actually be near death. You must have 5 doctors certify that. You must have lost like half your blood, and then maybe we'll give you the exception. But by then you might be dead because it took us too long to prove that you were dying.
We need lawyers to stop trying to do science.
Amen.
It's like, you guys, come on. Please, you don't understand what you're trying to make rules about. You sound very stupid to people who understand the underlying science.
Like doctors.
Like doctors. Okay, so the Missouri GOP has also tried to push a bill that would prevent Planned Parenthood from taking Medicaid reimbursements. That failed. Planned Parenthood provides many services besides just abortion, and in many cases, in many places, is the first place that women are able to go for a whole array of reproductive health care and services. And Republicans in Missouri have drafted an amendment that would prevent anyone who's ever gotten abortion.
This is wild.
From accessing Medicaid ever.
Yep.
Ever. Can you do that? Can you
Erin, what?
Can you dust for an abortion? Like, can you go like give a like during? Can you do like a little, magnifying glass down on the old cervix and tell somebody?
I'm not sure how it works. I'm not sure how that works.
Ladies, lie about everything. Lie about it. You didn't have an abortion. No, you didn't. Nope. No, you didn't. Gaslight
Don't know what
people.
you're talking about.
Do play it like a Republican would. Just fucking lie. Lie to get what you want. This is just, ugh.
Don't tell them.
Yeah, Missouri is the show your ass state. We've got another kind of disturbing story. Alyssa.
This one fucked me up, Erin. Thank God for Ron Wyden, senator from Oregon. He is investigating. This is dystopian. This is really fucked up. So Senator Ron Wyden alleges that a company is tracking people's visits to almost 600 Planned Parenthood locations across 48 states and gave that data for one of the largest anti-abortion ad campaigns in the country, a scope that far exceeds anything previously known. So Wyden released a letter. The letter was sent Tuesday morning, and it reveals what's believed to be the largest publicly known, location-driven anti-abortion ad campaign. Abortion rights supporters have feared this type of data could be used by certain state governments to prosecute women who get the procedure after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled there is no constitutional right to an abortion. So here is some wild shit. This is where it gets even more wild, in my opinion. The company is called Near Intelligence, which Wyden has asked the Federal Trade Commission and the Securities and Exchange Commission to investigate claims to have information on 1.6 billion people across 44 countries. Now, one of the interesting things about this too, they did have to stop tracking people in Europe, Erin, because not Americans, because we lack federal privacy regulations. So Europeans, they were like, Near Intelligence, get the fuck out of here. But they're still doing what they do.
They're still tracking the shit out of us.
And I'm sorry, but Erin, how is tracking people's visits to Planned Parenthood clinics, selling that data to target people for an anti-abortion campaign, how is that not intimidation and stalking?
It does sound like intimidation and stalking, and it also sounds like a really disturbing link on a chain that could lead to people actually being victimized by violence.
Yes.
Or doxxed to their employers or their partners or their families. And that is, yeah, I don't like that. I mean, look, if they're tracking your phone and you go to Planned Parenthood, I don't know, to just drop off a hoagie to the front desk staff because they're,
they're nice.
Doing the Lord's work.
You're going to volunteer.
Right. Mm-hmm. Let's say you go to Planned Parenthood, you're going to volunteer, you're going to support a friend, you're going to have a procedure that has nothing to do with abortion.
You're going to have a pap smear.
You're going to have an abortion. Whatever you're going to Planned Parenthood for. If somebody can track your phone, they can also see that one of those people is going to work at a specific workplace. It wouldn't be very hard for them to figure out who you are and what you're doing.
Or where you live.
This is gross. We need federal privacy protections. John Oliver did that thing where he bought a bunch of data on people who were coming and going from the U.S. Capitol. I honestly think that the only way that we get any good tech regulations is when it directly impacts elected officials. No shade to the people who are doing this, because I think that I think that they have good reasons for writing this law. But last week we talked about Senators Amy Klobuchar and Josh Hawley teaming up to do an anti-deep fake legislation. Right. And I feel like anti-deep fake legislation might succeed in the Senate and the House because politicians understand how deep fakes could hurt them.
Yep.
It could be used in campaigns against them. There is a very palpable fear of deep fakes being used against politicians. Indonesia just had an election that involved deep fakes during the campaign. That was
wild.
And we still don't know how that impacted the outcome of the election. So deep fakes are a real palpable fear for elected officials. In order for privacy to become something that they actually move on, there's going to have to be more John Oliver-like projects of people buying up data of elected officials and selling it or publishing it. I'm sorry. I hate to be like a bomb thrower, but that's how I feel.
No, but bomb thrower's fine. Hey, look, if that's what it takes.
Yeah. God, we need federal privacy regulations so badly.
So badly.
And I feel like half of our elected officials have their assistants print out their email. Like they're in that age demographic. So
I almost choked on my water. Yes, I agree with you.
Okay. Yeah. And they like asked to for the map quest before they drive to.
Yeah. Can you print out the map quest?
Print out the map quest. We got a Fani Willis update. People might be hearing this on a crazy day.
Fani. Trump trial drama continues on the day this episode airs, Thursday, the 15th. America's favorite and possibly most prolific criminal, Donald Trump, is set to attend a hearing in Atlanta about the allegations against District Attorney Fani Willis, which state that she had an inappropriate relationship with Trump prosecuting attorney Nathan Wade. Erin, this is so grossly, obviously, like just the most basic play in the Trump playbook. It's like, let's go intimidate. Like, we've heard all the stories of how he spoke to Robbie Kaplan, who defended E. Jean, throwing papers at her, saying, see you next Tuesday. He wants to go down and try to like scare the shit out of people. Mm-hmm. I mean, why else is he going? He's got like other trials going on. He's supposed to be at other trials that day.
Hey, he's got other parties to hit up. He's going to just run through with a bottle of wine.
And the thing is, this is boring. Earlier this month, Willis acknowledged a personal relationship with Wade, but denied that it has tainted the proceedings. So at the very heart here, we have Fulton County Court Judge Scott McAfee, who said he's going to just focus on whether or not Willis benefited financially from hiring Wade, when their relationship began, and whether it continues. Okay, like Donald Trump, what do you need to be there for? Like, no reason for him to go except to just try to be a threatening goon. That's our theme for today.
I think he just wants to draw attention. Because anything that this is a story he wants to draw attention to. So by standing close to it, he's trying to like use his gravitational field.
Right.
And it's going to work because that's what people do. They pay attention to whatever it is that he does. Yeah, and that's unfortunate.
Snooze.
Okay.